So I thought I'd make a video. Don't know how long it's going to be. There's a lot of documentation, but the question of the day is, does RNG bias exist? And the first thing, of course, is what is RNG bias? As you see on the screen here, what is it? Okay, well, it's stability regarding the statistical performance of groups of numbers, where it's the speed of the selection means how frequently they hit and how frequently they gap becomes stabilized to where they don't gap very much or for very long periods, and they hit more frequently than other numbers. And there's groups of these numbers that are doing this, and that's called RNG bias. And so I am going to show you where it exists in every session. Okay, every session over a long period of time, thousands of spins. Okay, where you will see groups of numbers that are going to be performing better. They're going to be hitting more often, and they're going to be hitting. They're going to be gapping far less. They're not going to have large gaps, and they're going to persist. They're going to persist over a long term. We're talking hundreds and thousands of spins. And I can show you the pattern again and again. I'm going to show it to you. And again, thousands of spins without a large gap of 27 spins. That's it, okay. And so thousands and hundreds of coups without this gap, because of this RNG bias, where these groups of numbers are performing this way. Okay, and there is a phenomenon that it exists. It always exists. I'll show you a group A and a group B. Group A is the dominance. Okay, it's what I call the king of the hill, and the group B is the queen of the hill. There's another grouping that's on the board, but it's just not as good as the group A, and you can see it in every session. And so let me see what this says here. Right. Well, the A and the B interrelate. I'm not going to get into that so much on this video. Okay, but the goal is to always reliably be able to identify these double streets, and it's actually easy when we take a long-term view of the law of the third. Now, I'm not going to go into all of that. Okay, but basically the law of the third extends on every spin. It operates on every spin, and these 37 spin sessions, there's a new one on every spin. And just as there is the law of the third, where, like, say, an average of 12 numbers must repeat, or something like that, like an average of a number will repeat. If you take a bunch of these sessions and string them together, there's got to be numbers that are going to be repeating more than others. It has to be. It's statistical. It is the law of the third. The law of the third is not limited to a single 37 spin session. The law of the third extends to all spins at all times. Okay, and so we can change the scope of the law of the third and apply the mandatory repeating phenomenon to an entire group of spins, and random number generation will, the law of the third will manifest in every sequence of spins. You can look at any sequence of spins and you'll find the law of the third is going to favor certain numbers. It must be. Just if you can apply it to 37 spins, you can apply it to 370 spins. Okay. And it's just that you have more cycles. That's all it is. It's more cycles. And I'm gonna have to come up with a name for the law of the third as you chain it together, because it's way too many words to try to explain that. There has to be a word for this law of the third that's multiplied. I'm gonna come up with it, or someone else will beat me to it, but there's gonna be something. We have to name it. So anyway, we need to prove that this RNG now exists, so I can actually show you concrete examples, because I start outputting data. Okay, now this top number right here, this top number you see on each one of these, -3, -16, etc. Okay, positive 126, -65. Okay, This top number is the hit to spin ratio. It's simply expectation for the number of hits achieved for the number of spins. Okay, and that shows the speed of the number. How quickly is it hitting? Okay, this number down here, this bottom number, shows you how often is this number gapping at 27 spins or greater. Okay, so we see that these three numbers have not gapped. Okay, this number has gapped, and it has 108 coups less for the gap, because again I'm measuring it with a 27 spin gap, and so there's a certain number of coups, like it's 100 coups. Well, anyway, that's too complicated. Okay, you can just tell that there has been a gap here. This one is gapping frequently. A negative number means it's gapping frequently, and a positive number means that it is, or in this case 0, it's never gapped. Okay, a positive number means that it's gapping very slowly, which means the distance between these gaps is great. Okay, it's greater than expectation. All right, so that's pretty simple. So this right here, you see these numbers have not gapped. This number has not gapped. This number is almost at expectation. Okay, these numbers are gapping more frequently than expectation, and this one especially. This is a definitely, but this number was delivering hits quickly. Okay, because it's only -3, but it's been plagued by PLEs. In other words, it's been hit with these large gaps far more frequently than expectation, probably 2 times. It's really 2 times as much as expectation. So, and then this middle number is just the number of coups since the last gap. Number of coups since the last gap. Now, when we're looking at this, and I'm explaining everything, so rewind it and listen to it again and again if you have to. But this makes it very clear that right now, this number, this double street, 10 to 15, is faster, in other words, providing hits more quickly. It's 126 spins, 126 less spins than expectation. Look at the rest of the board. There's nothing that comes even close. Okay, this is Group A. This is the King of the Hill. Okay, over here is Group B. This is the Queen of the Hill, and you can see that it has had a gap. Okay, this number, this 1924, has not had a gap, so I'm pretty much, it doesn't always happen, but I'm pretty much sure that this is really the Queen of the Hill and that this number's probably going to descend. But as it is, just based on the data, this is the Queen of the Hill. Okay, and it really is dominant, more dominant than anything else here. And this is obviously the King of the Hill. It's moving much more quickly. It hasn't gapped. This is far greater than expectation. Okay, this is over three cycles of 37 spins. It's so that's like over 3 SD, I believe, on speed of hits, and it has not gapped. So this clearly is happening. Okay, now that's just an isolated example, but we can follow it as it goes. See, watch this 10 to 15. Okay, it continues. Okay, and now the problem is that I don't always, in the beginning, because I'm just starting out in using this form of tracking. This goes way back. I mean, but in the beginning, I'm not necessarily showing the whole board, but we can kind of trace what's happening. We go from 126 to 170, so it's getting faster. We can see all the other numbers here are nowhere close. These numbers are moving so slowly, and yeah, I mean, there's obviously some positive activity here and not much here. So it goes from 126 to 170, so it's getting even faster. Okay, it keeps delivering these coups. Okay, and keep going. Okay, now here it continues. Now we're at spin 768 from 675, so we're adding even more spins. Okay, these are hundreds of spins, multiple hundreds. We can see it's now at 169. Okay, nothing close to it that I'm showing. Okay, but we can see that the number of coups is going up. Okay, so it's staying steady at the speed, but it's added, you know, another, you know, 20 coups, whatever. So all right, so keep going, keep watching. And okay, we're still here. There it is. Spin 939 now. All right, and look, nothing there. Okay, I'm not showing the whole board yet, but okay, now I do. So now let's take a look. Here it is, spins 1,397. This phenomenon has persisted for almost 1,400 spins now, and that's nothing. I'm going to show you 7,000 spins. Take a look. There's nothing close to the speed of this double street. Okay, nothing, literally nothing. Okay, This is obviously the queen of the hill, but look how far it is. It's almost a full 100 spins away in its frequency there. And I mean, look, this has had a progression loss. This one hasn't. This number has not gapped for 266 coups. Okay, that is 2.6 times expectation. All right, and here, I mean, geez, if you take 243 divided by 37, so let's see, there it is, 6.5 times expectation. Okay, right here on speed. Okay, it's 243 less spins than expectation for the number of coups taken. So I mean, this is persisting. 1,400 spins right here. Okay, all right, and then we're still going. Here it is again. Just dominating. Show me a number that's anywhere close here. There really isn't. This is Queen of the Hill. This is Group B. This is Group A. It's persisted now for 1,700 spins almost. Okay, and we keep going. All right, still persisting. Hasn't gapped for 337 coups. Okay, look at all these other numbers here. There's nothing close. This is obviously Queen of the Hill here. All right, and it had another gap. Okay, but this number hasn't gapped for 337 coups, 1,800 spins now. Okay, now this is obviously what happens eventually. Okay, after 2,400 spins, eventually the favored number is going to have a gap. Okay, and it's had one gap. Okay, it is gapping. Look at this, 3.35 times. Less often than expectation. It's amazing. And it actually gapped 100 ago, so it was 2,300 spins. It went 2,300 spins without a gap of 27. Okay, now what's happened is the Queen of the Hill is starting to catch up to the King of the Hill. Now they're close. Okay, all right, well that's fine, but this is objectively still King of the Hill, and these both are doing very well. We can see that this has had gaps more frequently than this, but both of these are exceeding expectation. They're both very strong, and that is your Group A and your Group B that I told you about. Okay, look anywhere else. Do you see anything? I mean, that's anywhere close. Now this is a rival. This is like a rival princess. Okay, there sometimes is a third area that's kind of doing this, but this is absolutely no threat. I mean, it's nowhere close. So we just keep an eye on it, because things can change, because it will shift. Okay, RNG will shift its focus over time, but I mean, if we're talking thousands of spins, okay, it moves slowly, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It's common for a neighbor to kind of be kind of high to the King of the Hill. It's common, but anyway, this phenomenon is continued. Okay, let's keep going. All right, we're at 2,900. Now we can see what happened, right? Look at this. This one fell, and this is constantly what happens. Okay, this one fell, this one fell, this one didn't. Okay, and yeah, I mean, we're obviously dominating here still statistically. Okay, look at that, 173 coups without a gap. It's 1.7 times expectation. We're 4 times expectation on the number of coups taken for the number of gaps. And okay, we still have a strong number here. Okay, this is still strong. It's just farther away. And there's 2,900 spins. This is persisting. There's nothing on the board anywhere close. There's nothing. Okay, well, we see the neighbor has moved in. So this is, and again, it shifts, and we have to be careful. That's our major threat, is the shift. But it took thousands of spins for it to finally start happening. Okay, and you think this is the only example I'm going to give you? I've got plenty more as it just continues. Okay, and let's see what happens with the shift. Okay, we're watching. Okay, and finally, 31 and 36 has shifted into the King of the Hill. Okay, and we have this 1 to 6 completely fell off. This is 3,500 spins, and we're now looking at the Queen of the Hill and its neighbor. Okay, so this is pretty much the Queen of the Hill here. This is now the King of the Hill. This is a favorable situation. Okay, they're both very strong. In fact, 13 to 18 is gapping less. Okay, by, it looks like 25%. But the thing is that it's been delivering the hits more slowly over time. So yeah, it gaps less, but it delivers the spins more slowly. So I always stick with the quickest number because the RNG focus will tend to favor that number. Okay, and you can see 122 coups. Um, so this phenomenon is persisting now after 3,500 spins. Yes, it shifted, and yes, it does. Okay, so the point on the shifting is that it takes thousands of spins for it to do it usually. So anyway, let's keep going. Can't really see much from that picture. Okay, here we go. This is still, we continue, and we see 31 to 36 has continued to dominate. Okay, we have our strong selections here, and they are close. And so, when you have a situation that's maybe after 3,700 spins and things are close, you don't want to mess around with it and try to find out what's going to happen. You can just start a new session, and the phenomenon will a different phenomenon will continue. But clearly we have the phenomenon here. Okay, this is King of the Hill, this is Queen of the Hill and its neighbor. So I mean, that's normal. Okay, and we continue even farther, 3,900 spins. Let's see. Okay, so we spun some more, and we see that these numbers are starting to drop off. There's nothing else close to it anywhere, and that this is clearly the King of the Hill. So we took 200 spins or 150 spins to identify this, but it is remaining as King of the Hill. Now that's again part of the pattern. Okay, and I'm showing you this data. It's objective. It's not something I'm making up. Obviously, if you want to deny statistical data that is objective, feel free. Explain it away. Whatever. You don't want to believe your eyes. That's fine. But we have 4763 on the spins. Okay, look. There's nothing here to compare with how this King of the Hill is performing. Okay, nothing. Okay, we're far greater than expectation. Okay, okay, and we continue now. 5,000 spins. Okay, look at this. Nothing to compare with this number. How the speed at which this number is producing. Okay, and it's gapping far less than any other number, which is normal. Okay. This is a statistical phenomenon and a fact, but I know this is only one session. I'm going to show you a ton more. It's going to continue. It doesn't cease to exist. The law of the third has to produce this phenomenon because because the law of the third produces automatically and must produce repeating numbers. It is extremely rare for the law of the third to not produce a repeater. Can it happen? Yes, it can. Statistically, it can. It's just extremely rare, like a once-in-a-lifetime event, that type of thing. But it is. I mean, some people believe it's not possible. Well, it's not true. It is possible. It's just a once-in-a-lifetime event. I can demonstrate 37 spins with no repeaters. Okay, but it's very rare, and I don't worry about it. It generally doesn't happen. So that means every cycle it's going to choose numbers, and it has to. And take your mind and expand it beyond 37 spins. Look at 370. Look at larger numbers. Look at larger sequences, and then realize the law of the third applies to those sequences as much as it does to 37 spins. It has to produce numbers that are that hit far more frequently than any other. It has to do it because it is the law of the third. Okay, so and we see this manifesting here. Here it is here. Okay, so and all right, and we finally started a new session. So now I can finally show you another session where it's occurring. Okay, and what do we have? Well, okay, right now it's after 327 spins. There's been conflict. Okay, but I mean we do have the King of the Hill here. Okay, and its neighbor, and there is conflict. This is a conflicted session, and it does happen where there are conflicted sessions, but we can identify where there are groups of this bias occurring, but it's what we call dispersion. Dispersion does happen, but things will clarify. Okay, and if you give it time, it's going to clarify into its pattern. But right now we have some dispersion. We can identify the King of the Hill. Okay, but we have groups that are contesting. Okay, and that's dispersion. So we can easily recognize when that's happening. Okay, but so far we have this. So let's continue and see what happens. All right, the session continues, and again, our focal point, we were saying that 4 to 9 appears to be the king of the hill unless there's going to be a switch. And so let's see what happens. Okay, so here's 4 to 9, and then now you see the dispersion has ended. Okay, we now have 4 to 9, which is clearly the king of the hill. There's nothing to compare. All these other contesting numbers have totally fallen off. Okay, and this is clearly king of the hill. You know, if there's a queen of the hill to be found, it's going to be in its neighbor here at 1 to 6, and there's not even close. Notice 4 to 9 has not gapped in 1300 spins, so we see the pattern continuing. Okay, and there it is. So it's very clear this has to happen. It is a statistical fact, a phenomenon that must occur, because the law of the third is what the law of the third is. It's the law of the third. It doesn't cease being the law of the third just because you look at a larger sample. Okay, so we have 13 to 61, and here's 1474. Okay, and we see 4 to 9 remaining dominant, nothing to compare, and there's 1 to 6 as the queen of the hill, its neighbor. Okay, so it's still nowhere close, and still has not gapped. Okay, but why? Because if a number is hitting more often statistically than expectation, by definition, it cannot be gapping for very long. Because why? Because it has to maintain these statistics. So a number speed is what a number is. Okay, and that's why it's not gapping. See how it works? If you don't, I mean, rewind it, whatever. I mean, it is a fact. So we continue. Now we're 2251. Let's see if there's been a switch or anything. We have 321. Okay, we see, look, there's nothing to compare. This number is in overdrive. 417 coups and no gaps more than of greater than 26 spins. That's 4 times expectation. Okay, and that's 321 spins. That's almost, I mean, that's insane. And that's, again, 2,200 spins. This phenomenon has persisted. Okay, my gosh. Okay, so now we're at 2860. Let's see what's happened. Okay, it did finally gap. Okay, it took, 15 minus there, 2845. So it took 2,845 spins for it to finally gap of 27 or greater. But let's look. Okay, and we see we have a queen of the hill now. We have a switch going on. We have a contestant. Okay, and we have 2 groups, 1 to 6 and 4 to 9 and 22 to 27 and 25 to 30. It took 2,800 spins for this to happen. Okay, and so the question is, which one of these is the better one? Well, that's debatable. I'm not going to get into all of that, but I mean, I like the fact that this is gapping so slowly and this one is gapping at expectation. They're both hitting just as fast. Well, I want the slower gapper, but this is potentially a very dangerous area, but I won't get into it. It's just that the phenomenon is clear over thousands of spins. All right, so the session continues, and let's see what has happened. Well, we see that our contestant 25 to 30 is remaining stable, and so it pretty much remains the same after about 300 spins or 250 or whatever. Okay, and so we continue, and let's see what has happened. Look, our contestant. See, eventually you spin and it clarifies. That's what happens. And so you have 4 to 9. Okay, and there it is, 403 with nothing to compare. Look at this, 5 times expectation. Okay, and this has dropped off. There's nothing close to it. Nothing. Okay, there's its neighbor, and there's 22 to 27. Okay, this is Queen of the Hill and Rival Princess, whatever. But I mean, this is clearly no uncontestably the King of the Hill. Okay, massively better than expectation, delivering hits at a blistering speed over thousands of spins. Gapping 5 times less than expectation. I mean, amazing. And it's 3464. This is a consistent phenomenon. This is only a second session I'm showing you. I'm going to show you more. They keep coming. It doesn't stop. The pattern is the same. Okay, in every session, the law of the third must produce this. So we have 466 now. This is 3,600 spins. Okay, and we see nothing to compare. Okay, look at this, 167 coups, 5 times, over 5.5 times expectation on the frequency of gapping. So let's see, 3641. Let's see what happens. Okay, it appears this continues. So let's see. Yep, look at that. We're jamming. Here's your Queen of the Hill. It's the same one, the contestant. Okay, and it's clearly now King of the Hill, Queen of the Hill, 4,200. Okay, and just okay. It did take a gap, but look, it's still 5.6 times expectation on the gapping. Do you not understand? If you if you don't gap more than 26 times, and you realize the profit that you gain during these periods. Okay, I'm serious. So there it is. It's persisting over 4,200 spins now. All right, and we continue. And look, it's still the king of the hill, still uncontested, still gapping 5.8 times less than expectation. Okay, the law of the third must produce this. Okay, it's a fact. And it continues. Let's see what happens. Right, yeah, this is continuing. Obviously, 452, nothing to compare. 6.1 times. It's getting even slower on its gapping. You know what I'm saying? This is like ka-ching profit. All right, and it continues. So let's see. We finally had the switch. Okay, this is actually when the switch occurred. This is the progression loss event right here. But look at this, 6.2 times less than expectation. It's amazing. All right, but now we have a new king of the hill. This is objectively the king of the hill now. And we see that there's a battle, okay, and that happens. The queen of the hill is going to take over. It just switches, but look at this. 5,000, over 5,200 spins before this happens. This is like fantastic. All right, and you can see that, you know, this number has done so well. This one just happens to be moving faster and is, you know, trying to. So, you know, this is a time where you may not want to be betting, you know, because things haven't clarified. So I don't know if we're going to see what's going to happen here. But let's continue. Let's just look at what the data is. Let's see if we do it. Yeah, it does. Here it is. Okay, so let's see. Well, we see this remains. This is obviously very close. Look at this. 8.1 times. Okay. I mean, amazing. This king of the hill, the queen of the hill. Amazing. Okay, law of the third must produce this. This is 7,000 spins. Okay, I mean, you know, is that enough? All right, and here we go. Let's start a new one. Let's look at a new one, shall we? All right, let's see what we got. After 900 spins, okay, I finally get a clue, and I start realizing that this phenomenon is happening. And I was like, I was sitting there trying to play sleepers. You know what? That's not the way to go. Now, look, there are people that have a strong sleeper strategy, okay, but the way I approach it is not the right way. You can approach sleepers in a statistically advantageous way, all right, and you know, ask Cav about that. Okay, he knows how to do it. Okay, he's a statistician. He understands about sleeping numbers, and he knows the right way to approach them. Okay, just saying. Here we have 149. Okay, and look. Okay, we have our queen of the hill. And nothing else. Very clear statistical picture. This is kind of close. So, you know, I have concern. Both of these have not gapped. Okay, but here's your king of the hill. Here's your queen of the hill. I would have concern. I would only want to be betting here under certain circumstances, just in case. Because what happens is if this number rises up, and it can hog all the hits because it's actually taking over the throne. It's going to take over, and this number can gap. So you want to be careful during these times, but still, the phenomenon is here. Okay, it's clear. This is a king of the hill. This is a queen of the hill. That's Group A and Group B. That's what it is. Now let's continue. 924. We're now at 1447. All right. Clearly, the queen of the hill has fallen off. There's nothing to compare with it. Oh, whoops. Yeah, there's these two groups now. All right, so this would be actually the queen of the hill, and yeah, this had a gap. This one hasn't. So this is the queen of the hill and its neighbor. This is the king of the hill. Okay, they're not close. This is a perfect statistical picture. There is 0 gaps. There is 2.6 times expectation on the number of coups. It has not gapped for 1,447 spins. This again is the same phenomenon that repeats over and over. Do you think that I'm like only taking pictures of sessions that follow this pattern? Is that it? Is that the conspiracy? Because I'm not. All I'm doing is just spinning and then taking pictures of what happens as I'm spinning. I don't hunt this thing down. I'm not like isolating specific sessions. This is just me spinning and recording it. I didn't do anything like that. You want to accuse me of that, that's fine. but whatever, have at it. I'm going to keep producing this over and over and over, and I've done it on video too. In fact, I put a video down where I did it. Okay. Oh no, I cherry picked the video. Okay. If you say so, sir. So anyway, here we go. All right, so we have clearly King of the Hill. So let's see if what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay, new session. Okay, let's show it clearly. This phenomenon is this. We've proven it again. Let's see what happens in the next session. Here's 224. What do we have? Well, now that I get a clue, we clearly have this is without having to think. This will be the King of the Hill. So we compare and see that we have nothing else. So where is the Queen of the Hill, the group B? And well, we see that there is some dispersion amongst the group B's. Okay, all right, and so at 200 spins, this is clearly the King of the Hill. This is pretty much clearly the result. Okay, and then there is some dispersion. So basically, our selection will indicate to us whether we should be betting or not. I mean, it's just it's kind of still early, but this is pretty clearly what's happening. So anyway, let's see if we can continue on this. Yes, we do. All right. And what has happened? Well, we were at 10 to 15. Okay. Well, there's been a switch, and this was the thing, with this dispersion going on. One of these can switch. All right. So that has happened, and it happened quickly, but it's clear it has happened. This has not gapped. Okay. And this is now clearly King of the Hill. Okay, are there any contestants? Well, it's neighbor. And here's the Queen of the Hill. This would be the Queen of the Hill. It just gapped. And, yep. So we have, this is obviously greater than expectation, 107 coups. This is 37. This is, 2 times expectation for the speed of hits generated. Okay. And so this is clearly King of the Hill, its neighbor, and Queen of the Hill. So let's see if we can continue on and observe this phenomenon some more. See if we do that. I have no idea, by the way. I just posted stuff, and okay, this is just an example of that previous session. We can skip this whole thing because it's just all right. 767. Let me see if that may be a new session. Okay, so we know the next one is 767. Let's see here, and we were at 578. Yeah, so it does continue. So okay, and that's why documenting stuff is so important while we're testing, because you can go back and prove stuff. So anyway, so now we're at 767. Okay, we see the neighbors still doing well, but look, yes, we do have a ooh. Actually, this is a takeover. Yeah, this just had a PLE is what happened, and I documented it, and there's the hit when it switched. Okay, now the key, as I've continued to play, I have developed strategies for avoiding this time of takeover. You can see it coming, and like I said, it can hog up the hits, and it can cause gapping on your selection. Okay, and so I've learned ways to avoid it, and I'm still obviously working on perfecting everything, but so far it's working great, and I can show you what I mean. But we now have a new King of the Hill here, and we see it's a close contest between these groups. But look at the point is, and really it is the point. Look at the rest of the board. It's being absolutely trashed. Okay, and granted, we have some dispersion going on, and that's these groups of numbers have not yet solidified. So let's see if we can observe as it does solidify again. Okay. Let's see. 976. So apparently, yeah. Okay. So, okay, we see that it fell off because it was what, 10 to 15. Yeah. Okay, so, and that's why when things are close, when you have your group A and your group B and you have your dispersion and stuff, you don't want to really be betting, because you want the law of the third to clarify itself. Okay, and we see that now this has happened, where you now have a new King of the Hill. And yeah, this is a dispersion session. This is like a non-standard session that does happen. But the phenomenon is still here. It just may not be the most advantageous for us to take advantage of. but it's still here. This is king of the hill, clearly, and it's performing far better than expectation. Um, but see, this is what I've noticed. You can see that these numbers are moving so slow, yet they haven't gapped. And so this is an exception. This is a non-standard session, and eventually I recognize this and I end it. Which, okay, this is something that I'm observing. Okay, and it hasn't happened often, but it does. This is an example of where it does, and I think I end the session soon when I notice it. Yeah, yeah. So that is, it's still, the phenomenon is here. Okay, and we have a contestant. So this is times of dispersion, and like even if you deal with folks that deal with um, AP, they will tell you that there are times of dispersion where the ball has dispersion. Okay, it's the same thing statistically. I mean, as far as having the law of the third isn't focused. It's okay, and we can recognize when this is happening, and abstain from betting. We can reset a session because it's we don't want to spin through until it solidifies. And let me see. I'm pretty sure I ended it. Yeah, I did. So we started a new session, and that's unfortunate. I mean, I should have spun right through, but it was dispersion. I documented it, and we have to learn how to recognize when this happens, and just be aware of it. Now, here's a session that's gone, a new one, that's gone for 1,000 spins. Okay, and let's see what we have. Well, yep, this is a king of the hill. Has not gapped. Look at the rest of the board. Uh, you know, okay, we have, yep, here we have these, some dispersion going on here. Okay, this is clearly king of the hill. We have some close contestants here in these. These have not gapped. After 1,000 spins, this has gapped. But it's the neighbor. We kind of expect that, but it's kind of close too. So kind of a little dangerous situation going on. Not sure. Okay, this can't be the same session. It's not. But it's weird how that has. Very weird how this has happened. But again, we have a different focus on our king of the hill, and hopefully I continue. Okay, good. So we can see what's happened. Okay. So yeah, we have double street 13 has now, and that's what happens. The law of the third will solidify. And we can see clearly that there is no competition. This is the normal pattern. Okay, this is king of the hill, clearly. This has 2.2 times expectation, and here is, this is it. This is the number. So let's see as we continue. Hopefully. Yep, we did. Okay. Uh, hmm. That's not sure why I switched here. This was yeah. This again is me stumbling around trying to work the system. So it's not the results that we're interested in right now because I am still stumbling about after having discovered this. I chose, and this is an example of why you don't want to switch over. I let me see. I explain it, but anyway, well, I don't want to complicate the video, but there was a time when things were close, and that's the dangerous time. It's the time of switching. There's a time of, and when that happens, it can cause our selection to fall. My understanding at this point is limited, and not understanding the causes from why this phenomenon is happening and the causes of these progression loss events. Okay, these gaps, and I discovered this as I moved downward, and I can show you what that is. But this is clear. Look at the pull back a second and look at these two selections and look at the rest of the board. There's nothing. It's total dominance. Okay, and it's just sometimes when you have two selections that have the focus of the law of the third, and they're close, there can be really bad conflict where they fight and they gap. Okay. Now obviously this number has not gapped, and this is the king of the hill. Okay, it's clear. Okay. But there was this conflict, and one of them has to fall. One of them has to perform less than the other. There has to be this slaying of the opposition and the continuing of the king of the third. It's a statistical fact, and so that's why it's dangerous when they get close, and it's why we, have to be very careful when it happens. But the phenomenon is here. We're looking at it. If we just isolate these two, not the results that I had, but isolate the numbers and look at the rest, we can see that it's clear that's what's happening after 1,300 spins. So let's see if this session continues, and it does. All right. Bizarre. What am I doing? I have no idea. Again, I'm stumbling around. I have no idea what I'm doing at the time. I, my mindset right now, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'm thinking that if you look at the neighbor performance, you can identify better streets, better selections. And the truth is that really, in the final analysis, each selection is totally separate from its neighbor. Okay, they do share numbers, but they're not connected. They're not actually connected. Each has their own statistical performance that you can track, and I learned this and started tracking them down as I continue. But here, I'm thinking the neighbors are very important, and we need to switch based on neighbors. But we can clearly see that that was mistaken. See, I was afraid of this selection because of a slow neighbor, and it's incorrect. Each one is its own statistical picture, even though they share numbers, and I prove that later. But this is clearly king of the hill, okay, and we can see the phenomenon. This is not very close. It's close, but not very. And this is clearly king of the hill. So, I thought that this number made this selection, the fact that these numbers were positive, made this selection stronger. It doesn't. Okay, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. What matters is how is our selection performing. That's the only thing that matters. Okay. Sure, we have to watch when things get close. Yes, and modify our behavior. Yes, but that's not neighbors. That's the groupings. Okay, the way the law of the third is grouping it. So, king of the hill phenomenon continues. This is obviously queen of the hill, and there's no other contest. And that's the pattern. This is 1,600 spins. So yes, it's still here. So okay, we continue now. The session does continue. So you can see I'm totally lost what I'm doing. And this is clearly king of the hill. Still, okay, that's 2.5 times expectation. Okay, and there's no contestants. There's nothing close. And it continues. Wait, let me check to make sure we have the same number. Yeah, we do. See? 13 to 18. Okay, the phenomenon continues over 2,000 spins now. Okay, and here's a new session. So let's show the pattern again. And I don't know when I get a clue. Well, it shows up, but it's later on. So, okay, here it is again. Here's 73. Okay, and we have this neighbor the same after 250 spins. And look at the rest of the board. Now, this is king of the hill. This is queen of the hill in the classic battle. There's nothing to compare. We can see this is obviously a dangerous time. Here, I would tend to favor this 10 to 15 over the 7 to 12. And let me see what I do if I can continue. Yeah, we do. Okay. Did we? 381? 254. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's a new session. Alright, so I took it down. And what happens when you reset the session is the king of the hill, the law of the third will create a new focus. It'll create a new focus. And I think this is where, yeah, here it is, the DSA. This is where I finally learned about tracking the individual number performance within the double streets as the secret, as the engine behind the performance of each double street, and how the law of the third is actually working in the mechanics of it as we're playing. And that's when my performance really increases and I get more intelligent about what I'm doing. And this is a new session, so let's take a look and see what we're dealing with. Yeah, okay, there, obviously king of the hill, queen of the hill. and we have a rogue princess over here, and yeah, none of them have gapped. So this is a time of dispersion, and we want to see it spin through and get a focus and to solidify. So we want to be very careful during these times. And let's see if I show. I'm showing the wrong one. I'm indicating that we have a problem. This is new. I'm new at it. I don't know what I'm doing yet. But anyway, let's take a look at our actual selection and see how it's doing. It's 19 to 24. So let's see. Okay, we can see we have a time of depression here. This is not a time to be betting. This is, we're mostly sleeping. This is, I don't care about what the long-term trend says. The short-term trend here says we're not in a good position, so we don't want to be betting at this time. And my point was that look at how 1 to 6 is doing. This is a highly charged selection. It is waking up because it's been sleeping the whole time. Oh no, yeah, this top number at this point was not correct, but anyway, this is correct, and I'm just pointing out the fact that this is happening, even though the hit to spin ratio hasn't caught up. Its performance is, and you can tell. And so we have this dispersion going on, and we want to see it to solidify. So let's see if we can show it. Yeah, now I'm learning about dispersion, so I'm showing it. I'm learning. Okay. I think we did continue. Okay, we can see it did fall off. All of our competition has fallen off. All right, so there it is. 640 spins. We have King of the Hill, and no competition. No competition whatsoever. We have a neighbor, and that's it. So this is excellent. And 25 to 30, we can see how it's performing extremely well. See, I'm learning. Now I'm learning. See, okay, then there it is. And 25 to 30. Let me check. I think it was a switch, or it was solidification. I mean, that's what it was. Okay, and interesting. There was no clue that was going to happen, but in the time of dispersion, it did solidify, and it ran and ran and ran, and it took some time for the conflict to end, but at 25 to 30 is just runs and runs and runs. So here it is. This is 837 versus 640, so we've come out another 200 plus spins, almost 300, I guess, or almost 200, whatever, hundreds of spins, and yeah, clearly no contest. This is it. This is King of the Hill, clearly. 140, it's 40% more, and 125 spins less than expectation, less than for the hits, for the coups accrued. So this is clearly the case, and it just keeps going. This is this chart performance of it. Just keeps going and going and going. And I'm real happy about the fact that I've identified a new King of the Hill, and I can actually chart its progress. This is, yeah, these two blank areas are troubling. Otherwise, it's doing very well. And let's continue on. Now we're at spin 1289. The phenomenon does continue 400 spins later. And here's 148. Nothing to compare. Okay, this is objectively provable. You cannot deny this, how this phenomenon continues and continues to show up. Here's 2.1 times expectation. Okay, and the speed is unrivaled anywhere. Okay, and so 1289, and let's continue. 1469, 153, nothing to compare. Nothing. Okay, except its neighbor, which is understandable, but that's not even close. It's not statistically relevant at this point. And yep, 2.4 times expectation now, and it's going to continue. 25 to 30. Okay, still has not got. Oh, new session, right? This has got to be a new session. 125 and 0. Oh, it finally did gap. Okay, so at 1633, it finally has gapped. Clearly still King of the Hill. All right, and there it is. It was a long and profitable run. Okay, and then I point out how I had 221 coups without a loss. This was plus 665 in base units profit. This is an example, a practical example of using the phenomenon to make money. and this is 6.6 times greater than expectation, the performance. I mean, as far as the, oh, I'm sorry, no, that's not right. It's 2.2 times expectation, and this is the profit that it generates. Okay, and let me see if we continue the session. 16. Then I'm coming up. See, I'm starting to understand how things are working, and I create some rules, and we're at 1491. So let's see if that's the same session. Okay. No, it's not. We start a new session. Okay. Yeah, definitely taking the software. So this is a new session here at 1491. I come in, not documenting as often now. But here it is, clearly the king of the hill. All right, nothing to compare. Oh, okay, no, we do. We have a queen. This is queen of the hill, and it is close. Um, but that is the phenomenon. This is 100. Yeah, this is not close. This is not close. This is not close. But it's not as ragged as the rest of the board. So we have king of the hill, queen of the hill. That is the phenomenon, and it is here. Okay. And let's check to see how our selection is doing. 16 to 21. At this time, it's not doing well. So this is noted. Okay. Now, of course, as you can see, how fast when the numbers hit, these are basically starting to get close to sleeping, and this is repeating very rapidly. This is repeating very well. This number is speeding up. It was sleeping for a long time, now it's waking up. And so, okay, and let's keep going. Okay, new session. Okay, I start to track the streak numbers, and you can and chart them so you can see how it works. Here's a session of 926, and let's look. Let's see if the pattern's here, and yeah, it is. King of the hill, queen of the hill, and no competition. That's it. 926 spins, very clear. They're close, so this is a point. This is a classic. It says a classic example. See, now I'm starting to understand. Classic example of king of the hill versus queen of the hill. Okay. Let's see. Yep. And let's check it out. Yep, there it is. Solidification. And that's what we're talking about. You keep spinning, a lot of the third solidifies. We have a clear king of the hill, clear king of the hill. No question about it. Okay. And, yep. And so we now continue. Just absolutely destroying on performance. Updrafts, incredible. Just incredible. And okay, now we're on spin 2430, and here it is, spin 1184. So we've done a bunch of spins, 1300 spins here, and oh, look who's still here. It is the king of the hill. And look, the rest of the board has nothing to say about it. This is now 2430 spins. Okay, and this is 4 numbers. I don't like these 2 empty areas on a single street, so I'm not going to be wanting to bet. But you can see I've got raked in some more profit, and doing incredible, not having failures because I'm on the king of the hill. All right, now we're at 3228 from 2430. 800 more spins, and look who's still here. Yep, nothing even close. Look at this, 5.85 times expectation. No gaps, greater than 26 spins. Incredible. Okay, there's more profit. And okay, still on a situation where I don't like these, but still doing strong. All right, and I start to talk about it, and now we're at 3517. Okay. All right, so I'm finally, I think this is where it finally gaps after 3,500 spins. After 627 coups. 350, almost 10 times expectation. 9 times expectation. That's incredible. And it is the king of the hill phenomenon. And once again, this is the queen of the hill right here. It's a neighbor. And that does happen. Okay. And this is right before, this is what happens when we get a progression loss. The gap, these numbers just wink out, and that's why you want to have as many of them as possible, so it's statistically more difficult for it to happen. It has to defeat each one of the numbers, and this is about to wink out on the next spin, and that's why it's right where it is. And this is just dominating. You can just see how it's dominated the rest of the board. There's other numbers, but they're not focused, and that's the thing. The law of the third has to focus them too. There's a geographical element to the law of the third that I haven't heard anybody saying it, but maybe I have. I don't know, but there might be people talking about it. I don't know, but there is a geographical element to law of the third. It's a fact. I'm proving it. And let's see. Oh yeah, and there it is. And this is after it happened. 5.2 times expectation. This is again almost 10 times expectation on the number of hits to spins. 349 less spins than expectation for the coups taken. Which okay, and it's clearly still king of the hill. And so now I start to focus on it some more, and got profit. I got profit. My actual here, and it actually gapped. This is a long session now. We're now 4,000 spins in, and we're dealing with the king of the hill as it continues, and it's sort of a new phenomenon as we're watching it. Still king of the hill, so I continue, and it has its gap. Let's see. This is the next. Okay, 47.96. 41.50. What? 600 spins later. Okay, and I'm just documenting the status of the fact that the phenomenon is continuing. Okay, over 47, almost 4,800 spins. It still continues at 6.2 times expectation for the number of gaps that's occurred. Insane. And the rest of the board has nothing to say about it. Nothing. This is uncontested king of the hill, and it is a phenomenon, a statistical phenomenon. It's the truth. All right, so I've shown you this pattern over and over and over. You think I cherry picked and everything? I haven't. Absolutely haven't. And then I open up this video right here. I open up a new session and do it live, so you can see I haven't cherry picked it. Well, sure, could I still have cherry picked it? Yes, I could have, for you conspiracy theorists out there. But the fact is, I don't do stuff like that. It's absolutely unnecessary. I stumbled on this phenomenon accidentally, and I had no idea it was happening. I can show you how clueless. I can explain to you how clueless I was. But anyway, I got to cut this video short. This has gone long enough, and so thanks for watching.